Matter in our surroundings. First thing that we are looking in the headline of this chapter is the matter. So, my first question arises, which is the what is the matter? What does this term mean to you? Do you have ever listened this term ever, or do you have something idea about what the matter is? So, this chapter starts with the matter. Okay, so matter is anything which has the mass and which occupies the space. कोई भी ऐसी चीज़ जिसमें मास होता है और जो स्पेस को ऑक्यूपाई करती है वो मैटर कहलाती है. ओके, मैटर इज एनीथिंग which occupies space and has mass. This is the definition of the matter, and you all people have to learn this. See, these are all the different kind of things that we surround. So these are the articles. Like this is the volcano. Is the volcano is matter? This is the glass of water. Is this matter? So we are first going to understand the concept of the matter. That what the matter is and what are the different things that comes under the term matter, and is there anything which is not matter. Okay, so first we are going see anything which occupies space and has mass is called matter. As I have told you earlier, that anything which occupies space, it means that whenever we put it somewhere or when it is placed, it should occupy some space, as well as it has mass, is matter. So basically there are two conditions for something to be called matter, that it should have mass and it should occupy the space. These are the two things. So my question from you people is that, do you have some emotions? Emotions towards your parents, emotions towards your friend, to yourself? Do you have any feelings? Do you have any manners? Are these kind of things matter? Is feelings abstract things? Are they matter or they are not? My dear students, so this is the point where you should have the clarity in your concept, that the kinds of feelings, manners, taste, choices, thoughts are not matter, because they do not have the mass. They are just in our mind, and they are just the things which are related to our mm brain, and it is not scientifically matter. Okay, so is this clear to you? The things like friendship, love, affection, good manners, thoughts, ideas, taste, smell, they do not have the mass, and neither they do occupy some space. So this is what I want to make you all people clear, that what is the two things which is very important to qualify something as a matter. It means that matter is anything which has the mass and which occupy the space. Okay. Now look at the first question of your textbook. The first question is, which of the following are matter? Actually, I am making you people to understand this concept very precisely, because the questions are based on this. First question is, which of the following thing are matter? Is chair is the matter? Does chair have some mass? Yes, it has some mass. Does it occupy some space? Yes, it occupies some space. So chair is a matter. Is love is a matter? Scientifically. We are talking here scientifically according to our science book. Is it matter? No, it does not matter. It does not satisfy the definition of matter. Okay. So in this way we have to solve the first question of our book. Okay. Now moving ahead. Classification of matters. So all things that we surround and which has some mass and which occupies some space can be called the matter. Okay. Now, for the study of something, we need to classify the things. Classification makes the study of different things and different kinds of articles easier. So we need to classify the matters. Okay. But on what basis we can classify it? We can classify it either on the physical properties of the matter or on the chemical properties of the matter. But we are studying the first chapter. So the first chapter is basically deals with the physical properties of matter. Okay. So in this chapter we are going to understand the physical properties of matter. On the basis of physical properties of matters, we can classify the matter into three kinds: solids, liquids, and gases. So, this is the three states of matter, and on the basis of the chemical properties of matters, we can classify it into elements, compounds, and mixtures. And this classification we are going to read in our next chapter. Okay. Physical nature of matter. First thing that comes to our mind from this headline, physical nature of matters, what is the physical? Physical basically means the shape, size, and state of the object or the matter. Okay. So, what is the physical nature of matter? The physical nature of matter is that matter is made up of the particles. जो मैटर है वो पार्टिकल से बना हुआ है, यानी कि कोई भी एक बड़ी चीज़ छोटी 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 पार्टिकल से बनी हुई है. आई एम यूजिंग द हिंदी for some students. Okay, if you are understanding in the English, then it's good. So matter is made up of the particles, but how do we know it that matter is made up of the particles? Look at the activity 1.1 in your textbook and read it and try to perform it if you can. To prove the fact that matter is made up of the particles, we need to perform this activity. In this activity, we have taken a 100 ml beaker and then we have fill it half with the water. Okay. Now mark it with marker or something, pen like things. Mark the level of water. Now dissolve salt in it with the help of a glass rod, or if you don't have the glass rod, you can also use the spoon that is usually in our kitchens. Now observe the level of water. Do you have observed? Yes. So what do you think? Does the level of water changes? Does it increases or decreases? What do you think about the salt? Is the salt visible in the water now? If it is not, then where it has gone? Where does it disappear? Does it disappear or it is appearing? No, it has been disappeared. The salt has been disappeared in the water. The question is, where does it disappear? It disappear in the water. Explaining this activity and looking at the some core concepts regarding this activity. See, salt and water both are the matter because they both have the mass and they both occupy some space. So both are the matter and both are made up of the small particles. These particles are too small that we cannot see even them with the advanced microscope. When we try to dissolve this salt in the water, the salt breaks into the tiny particles, and those tiny particles takes the spaces between the particles of water and they just mix with them with the particles of water. Okay. So when we try to dissolve, when we use the glass rod or the spoon to stir the salt in the water, the the salt breaks into the tiny particles and takes the space between the particles of the water. Okay. So the salt solution, it becomes the salt solution. It is not a plain water now. It is not a plain water. It becomes the salt solution. And thus we cannot see the salt in it because the salt particles has been mixed with the particles of water. Okay. And see one more thing, that we does not need to stir the we does not need to stir it with a glass rod or spoon. We have just do it uh, only to fast to make this process faster. Okay. Even if we don't stir, salt will dissolve in water, but quite slowly. Okay. Yes, fine. Is this activity is clear? Okay. Let's see. This is the water. Particles of water magnified millions of time looks like this. But it requires very advanced level microscope. Then we have add some salt in it. We have stirred it. Why do have stirred it? We have stirred it only because so that it mixes fast. Okay, the rate of the um, mixing salt with the water becomes fast. Okay, otherwise we don't have to stir it. But in that case, the rate of mixing will become slow. So when we dissolve salt in water, the particles of salt get into the spaces between particles of water. So this is the first activity of the book, and this explains that matter is made up of the tiny particles. Okay. Yes, fine. Now, next heading of our chapter is how small are these particles of matter? Matter is made up of particles, and particles of matter are very small. But how small these are? Particles of matter are very small. Actually, they are very, very small. They are small beyond our imagination. We cannot magnify them even with the help of the advanced microscope. Okay. So there is the activity in the our textbook, activity 1.2. And when we try to perform this activity, we will observe that particles of matter are really very small. So to perform this activity, we have taken crystals of potassium permanganate, and we have dissolved it in 100 ml of water. Then we have taken out 10 ml of the solution from it, and we have put it into 90 ml of clear water. We will see that the new 90 ml of clear water will become pink in color because the color of potassium permanganate solution is pink. Now again, we will put 10 ml of this solution and put it into 90 ml of clean water. We will do this process 5 to 8 times, and what do we observe? Is the water still colored? So let's see what happens. This is the beaker, first beaker, in which we have taken the 100 ml of water, and we have put the crystals of potassium permanganate into it. Then we will see that the water color of the water will change and it becomes pink color. Then we will take another beaker which will contain 90 ml of water, and we will put 10 ml of solution. Here is the explanation of this activity, and we have already explained it, that the experiment shows few crystals of potassium permanganate can color a large volume of water, about 1000 ml. So basically, each matter, each particle of matter is made up of very teeny particles, and each potassium permanganate crystal is made up of millions of small particles which keep on dividing and spreading its color to the thousands of ml of water. There are some forces of attraction between the particles of matter which bind them together. Let's try to perform an activity. If we take a piece of chalk, we will find it that it is easy to break it into smaller pieces. We have taken a chalk and we will break it into pieces. It can be done very easily. Now we will take a cube of dice. Then we try to break it into pieces, and we will observe that it requires more force to break a cube of ice. Now we will take the third article, which is the iron nail, and we will try to break it into the pieces, but we cannot do it because the iron nail does not break easily. It requires large force to break, and even we need to beat it with the hammer for the iron nail to break it. So, what does this activity suggest to us? This activity suggests that force of attraction between the particles of chalk is quite weak. That's why it has been broken into pieces very easily. While the force of attraction between the particles of ice is little bit stronger than the force of attraction between the particles of chalk. That's why we require some extra force to break the ice. And when it comes to the iron nail, the force of attraction between the particles of the iron nail are very very strong. That's why it cannot be broken. It cannot be broken easily. We require hammer to break it. Okay, so particles of matter attract each other, and this particles of matter attract each other. This means that there is the force of attraction between the particles of matter, and this force of attraction is quite very high in solids as compared to the liquids, and is quite very low in the gas. Particles of matter have a space between them. See, we have already performed the activity and we have already understood it that particles of matter have a space between them. Uh, like when we have dissolved the potassium permanganate in the water, we have seen that it has been evenly distributed in the water. What does this suggest? This suggests that the particles of potassium permanganate got a space into the particles of water, because the particles of water have the space which is filled by the particles of potassium permanganate. Okay, so this shows that there is space between the particles of matter. Now, third key point was particles of matter are continuously moving. We all know that matter possesses kinetic energy. Why? Because the particles of matter are continuously moving, that is, they possess what we call the kinetic energy. So, when we increase the temperature, the particles move faster than the usual, and hence the kinetic energy also increases. See, burn an incense stick, an agarbatti which we use for worship, in a corner of a room, and see what happens. After the few seconds or the few minutes, the fragrance of the agarbatti spreads in the whole room quickly. Why does this happen? Why does this happen? This happen because the burning of the incense stick produces some vapors which have the pleasant smell. The particles of gases produced by the burning of agarbatti moves rapidly in all the directions of the room. and it mixes with the moving particles of air in the room, and in this manner reaches the every part of the room very quickly. So when the gaseous particles from the agarbatti reaches near our nose and we smell it, so we feel some fragrance. Okay, so if the particles of gases produced by the burning of agarbatti and the particles of air were not moving, then the fragrance of agarbatti could not spread in the whole room quickly. So this basically shows that the fragrance of agarbatti spreads in the entire room very fast because particles of matter are continuously moving. Okay, and that is why the particles of matter intermix on their own with each other because they are moving. They do so by getting into the spaces between the particles. Okay, this is why the diffusion happens. Have you ever listened the term diffusion? Do you understand what the diffusion is? Diffusion is basically the mixing of a substance with another substance due to the motion of its particles. So diffusion happens because the particles of matter are continuously in motion and the rate of the diffusion increases on increasing the temperature. And why does this happen? This happen because when we increase the temperature, the kinetic energy of the particles, basically the speed of the particles which are moving increases, and hence the rate of diffusion also increases. We have understood the characteristics of the particles of the matter. Now we will try to understand the states of matter. Actually, there are three states of matter. Matters can be in the three state: solid, liquid, and gas. Why does these states of matter arises? This has been arises due to the variation in the characteristics of the particles of matter. Actually, whenever a substance changes its state from solid to liquid and liquid to gas, there is no chemical change. There is only the physical change. There is change only in the characteristics of the particles of matter, not the chemical composition of the particles of matter. So, the three states of matter exist because of the changes in the characteristics of the particles of matter. See, we are looking at figure solid, liquid, and gas. We can see that in the solid figure, see, solid state. Solids have the fixed shape and the fixed volume. They cannot be compressed very much. They have the high densities and they are heavy. They do not fill their container completely. They do not flow. So these are the properties of the solid state of matter. And this property exists only because of the intermolecular space between the solids. Since in the solid, the particles of matter are tightly packed, they do not have the much intermolecular space. That's why all these properties exist. Now we are going to read the properties of the liquid state. Liquids have the fixed volume, but they don't have the fixed shape. Like solids, liquids cannot be compressed much. Liquids have moderate to high densities. They are usually less dense than solids. Liquids do not fill their containers completely. Liquids generally flow easily. Now, the third state of the matter is the gaseous state. Gases neither have the fixed volume nor have the fixed shape. They cannot be compressed easily into the small volume. They have the very low densities. Gases fill their container completely and gases flow easily. Why does this happen? Only because the intermolecular space between the particles of the gas are very very far. They have very much intermolecular space, and that's why the force of attraction between the particles of matter is very less as compared to the solids and liquids. This is why the properties of the gaseous state exist. So, solids have the rigid shape, fixed volume. They are the rigid in nature. Liquids are not rigid, not fixed shape, but the fixed volume. Gases are not rigid, not fixed shape, no fixed volume. So, this was their first lecture of this chapter. I hope that you people understand it and enjoyed it very much. Now, you people have to, you can now try to solve the questions on the page number 6, page number 3 of your textbook, and if you will get any problem in trying to solving those questions, you can ask me. Okay, keep going, read this chapter, and keep revising it. Thank you.